Okay, Shalom again, Israel. The title of the show again is on the first sliver of the moon or the astronomical moon. The reason why a lot of us like to go in so much depth with understanding the scripture is because, remember, these people, these cave dwellers that's now running, okay, the planet Earth today, all right, because just like the scriptures tell us, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So these wicked people at one point believed that the earth was flat. All right, they believe that it was flat, but it tells us in that scripture that it is He that sitteth upon the circle of the earth. So the earth is circular. So with that understanding is that it just leads a lot of us to make sure that we have this information correct. You know, when we blow in this shofar, we have to make sure that the information is correct. You know, my job is not to mislead any brother or sister. If there's any question about anything that I'm saying, please leave a comment, and I'll try to edify it more. But this whole thing is about the first sliver of the moon and not the darkness of the moon. Now, with that being said, now I said now that this light is representing the Messiah. Okay, so the moon is in this dark state. That is the state of confusion, and I'm going to read that in Genesis, the first chapter, and I'm going to be reading verses 2 and 3. Actually, I'll read 1 to 3. It says, in the beginning, which is the word bara ashayat, or the word bereshit, the Most High created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So we see now at this state that the earth, okay, is in a chaotic state, is in a state of darkness. And if we was to take the time and understand, there's a literal meaning to the scriptures, and there's what we call the side level of understanding the scriptures. Because all of this is talking about the Messiah. The Messiah is talked about from Genesis to Revelation. So what we have to do now is to understand, what does it really mean when it says that I'm talked about from the beginning to the end? The Messiah said that I am the Ah and that I am the Tha, as it is stated in Revelation, the first chapter. That's very important for us to understand. So again, just understanding what the word darkness means. The word darkness means it represents a state of chaos, disarray, unorganized. All right? It's a state of confusion. That's what darkness is. And an example that I like to give is darkness is going through a cycle. All right? It's not in its purest form. And this has, and I'm not talking about skin complexion. All right? This is something totally different here. For example, if I took a seed and planted the seed in the earth, all right, as long as it's in the earth, it's in a state of darkness because it's going through a cycle. It's going through the process of being of germination, and it's just going through the process of birth. But as soon as it breaks forth out of the ground, I'm able now to observe, to see the birth, okay, of this seed that was planted in the earth. But again, as long as it was in the earth, it's in a state of darkness. I hope that makes sense there. And another example, put it this way. When a woman conceives, when that baby is going through its developmental stages in the mother's womb, it's now in a state of darkness. Or it's going through, again, the many different cycles, the first trimester, the second trimester, and the third trimester. But now, after that state of darkness is completed, once that baby now comes through the quaba, okay, the vagina, it's now at the stage of light. And so what this is all what this whole thing is here. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna stick everything with scriptures. It's just that I'm trying to give examples to bring to brothers and sisters that the light is very, very important, and the Messiah is that light. Verse 2 again. And the earth was without form. Okay, now there was no Torah being taught at this time. This is a state of disarray. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of the Most High moved upon the face of the waters. And the Most High said, let there be light, and there was light. And the Most High saw that the light, that it was good, and divided the light from the darkness. That's very, very important for us to understand. Out of this darkness came light. Light brings understanding from the light. That's very important for us to understand. I'm going to say this again. Out of the state of darkness comes light. Who was that light? Understanding these scriptures now from what we call the side level, the mystery level. That light that came out of darkness was the Messiah. When we are observing the darkness of the moon, that's a state of confusion. It's chaos. It's still going through its cycle. And once that cycle is completed, we now have the first sliver, which is the first sign of light, and that light is representing the Messiah. Very easy. That's the reason why it tells us in Mark, I believe it's Mark, the 4th chapter, 11th verse. It says, unto you it is given to know the mysteries. The word mystery is the deeper level of understanding the scripture. Of course, I can go through the scripture here in the book of Genesis and take everything literal. And there's no problem with that. No problem. But there's a deeper meaning behind the scriptures, and there was a point. There was a time when we knew this. But, again, brothers and sisters, there are signs given to us helping us to understand what time and what season we are in, even at this latter state of the game. That's very important for us to understand. Now, let's go to some more scriptures to prove that the Messiah is the light that came out of darkness. The darkness, again, is a state of disarray. We need the light. The Messiah is the light. Look for the light. Plain and simple. Let's go to the book of John. The book of John. I'm going to read the 12th chapter. The book of John, the 12th chapter. 12, and I'm going to read the 40, what I have here, the 46th verse. 12:46. The Messiah said, I am come a light unto the world. When the Messiah said, I am come a light into the world, because prior to the Messiah coming, the earth was in a state of darkness. The Messiah came as a light into the world. And again, understanding the scripture now from a Hebraic perspective and getting the deeper meaning of these scriptures here, the darkness is confusion. The Messiah said, I am come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth on me, which is the Messiah, should not abide in darkness. Again, the darkness of the moon is a state of confusion. Once that state of confusion is completed, you see the first sliver of the moon, and that first sliver of the moon is representing light, representing the Messiah. Very easy. Again, the darkness is chaos, confusion, disarray. I'm going to read it one more time. I, the Messiah, am come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth on me, which is the Messiah, should not abide in darkness. There's more scripture. Let's go to the book of John, the 3rd chapter. And I'm going to read the 19th verse. 3:19. And this is the condemnation. This is the reward. Okay? That light is come into the world. Light is come into the world. When did light come into the world? In reference to the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter, 1-4. When we talked about the light coming out of darkness. The word world is very, very, very important. As we know, it's talking about the nation of Israel. We already know that. That's basic, easy to understand. But in reference now to Genesis, where the Messiah is trying to tell us how to tell time, out of the darkness came the light. The Messiah is the light that shone in the darkness, and the light gives us direction. As it tells us in Deuteronomy 16 and 1 about the word observe. Observing what? You're observing the light. Who is the light? The light is the Messiah. You don't observe the darkness. The darkness is confusion. This is our job. Our job as ministers of the scripture is to help brothers to see out of the darkness and to walk towards the light, and the light is the Messiah. Again, verse 19. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness. Men love confusion, disarray, chaos. That's what men love. And men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. All right? Their deeds were evil. And I like using that example about when a woman is, the baby's in the womb and it's going through that whole process there. And the doctor says, listen, you know what? Up until the baby is actually delivered, everything that's going on inside of the womb, the first trimester, the second trimester, the third trimester, all these things that's happening in the woman's belly, those things are signs, okay? It's going through those things that it needs to go through. But the actual sighting of the baby, that's when we know when the birth is, because the doctor can only tell the woman or give the woman an estimate on when the baby is going to be born. But the actual sighting of the baby, the day that it's going to actually happen, you don't know. You have to just observe it. And when we see the baby comes out, then that's when we know it's time for things to happen. When we first see that head break open or comes through, the woman's quava. All right, now I want to go to the book of John, the first chapter. Book of John, the first chapter. I'm going to be reading verses 4 and 5. It says, in him, which is the Messiah, was life, and that life was the light of men. Verse 5, and the light shineth in darkness. Again, and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. And that's what happened. So with understanding our scripture here, what does that mean? During the time of the Messiah's ministry, okay, it said that the darkness comprehended it not. Those that was walking in darkness, okay, was the religious leaders in Jerusalem at that time. Those guys that was in darkness could not comprehend the light, which was the Messiah. The light shineth in out of the darkness, but the darkness couldn't comprehend it. They were not acknowledging that the Messiah was the light. Couldn't understand that. So it's the same thing that's going on today. A lot of brothers are not able to understand that the darkness of the moon is not when you do the count. It's when the light is shown, is when you start the count. The light is shining out of the darkness, out of that state of chaos. Very easy to understand. I'm going to read it again. In him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. And again, those that was in darkness, that was leading the people into the state of darkness continually, was the Pharisees and the Sadducees, because they were not acknowledging the light, okay, that was to now show forth this understanding. It's the light, brothers and sisters. It's the light. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. The 4th chapter, where we at? 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. I'm not going to be able to finish this up. I'm going to have to do this in the next part, 4 and 6. Verses 4, the chapter 4, 3 and 6. Shaul is talking about the book of Genesis, but he's using allegories here. It says, in whom the God of this world, which blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of the Messiah, who is the image of the Father, should shine upon them. I'm going to have to stop right there. I'm running out of time, brothers and sisters. I'm going to complete this. I promise you. Shalom.